Hello, statistics student. This video is to show you how to use TI-84 to create modified box plot. And as a result of the modified box plot, you can tell if there is outliers in the data sets. Okay, so this is the instructions. First, you have to enter your data into a list L1 in a TI-84. And then the second step is in this paragraph here. And that's actually the procedures to create modified box plot. And remember, we are creating modified box plot, not a regular box plot. Okay, and we can also use the box plot to read off outliers, the 5-number summary also. Okay, so let's get started. So I have an example here from the OpenStat Statistic second edition book. They have collect 40 students' heights in inches recorded here. And we want to create a modified box plot and sketch the graph below. So first of all, let's follow this instruction. Enter the data to L1. To do that, you have to turn on the TI-84, go to Stat, and by default it's on Edit. You just press Enter to call Edit, and you will see L1. If your L1 is blank, then you can start to enter them. If you have other data in L1, what you can do is go to the top of L1 when it is in the header of L1 and then do clear, press enter. Okay, then now L1 is clear. You can enter it. So I'll enter 59, press enter, 60, press enter, etc. So I'm going to pause a little bit and then enter the rest of the data into L1. And then we'll continue. Okay, so you can see that I have entered the 40 data into L1. Your cursor should be at 41. You would know that you have entered 40 data. The last number is 77. Okay, so then the data is automatically saved. You do not have to manually save it. So it's in L1 already. So the next thing you do is to exit out, second quit, and then in the then you have to follow this now. You are to plot the modified box plot. The first is stat plot. Where is stat plot? It's in this small like blue wordings on top of a button. So that if you want blue, you would do second. So that means second y equal will be stat plot. This will show up. You will have like a few plots, 1, 2, 3. We want to plot it on plot 1. You should make sure that plot 2 and 3 are off. Okay, so I have plot 1 on. If you don't have it, you just press enter. And on the on key, you press enter. It would be blinking. That means you have plot 1 and on enter. Okay, so on enter. And then you use the cursor. So the cursor is in over here above the clear key. Use the cursor to go to type. You don't want this. You go to use the left. Oh no, use the right cursor. Okay, don't go down. See, if you use the down key, it would go to data list. So you go back up. So in type, we don't want the first one, not the second one, not the third one. The third one was histogram that we learned. This is the one that we want, a modified block plot with some dots at the end. Not the next one, but this one. Okay, there is a box plot with some 2 dots at the end. You press enter to select it. That means I want to plot a statistic graph of modified block plot. So you have 2 input to tell them where is your data and what is the frequency of this data. So that your data is in L1, so you would use your cursor down and do second 1. That means it's in L1. If your data list is in L2, L3, L4, you just do whatever that you have. Frequency is 1. By default is 1, so you usually don't have to do it. But in case you have changed it or it is from a calculator that from someone else, you want to make sure that this is 1. Then then it's almost done. Okay, so you don't have to So usually I go back to the on key, and then press. So I should maybe say, yeah, after you change your frequency to 1, I don't say anything of going back to the on key, but for some calculator, if you don't go back to the on key, something strange might happen. So if that's the case, just go from the beginning to set plot again, and then you would press zoom. Zoom is this key. Zoom 9. 9 is that. You can manually do it, or you can just say zoom 9. Enter 9. There, this is the modified box plot. So look at the two end. At the end, I have like a fence. This also had a fence, but I don't have see any dots. So that means in this data set, there is no outliers. No outliers in this data set. But you can still read off the number. You can see that this is marking here. This is the x-axis of the data value, but there's no number. So how can I tell what is this number and what is the beginning of the box, what is the middle of the box? So what you can do is hit trace. So that should be it should be blinking. They would say min x equal to 59. You know that this is 59. So I'm going to just copy this modified box plot here. Although there's no dot, meaning that there's no outliers, I can do it this way. So I'm going to do draw. So I'll draw the box roughly like this. Oh, it doesn't show. I have to like, yes, like this to let it show. And then this, maybe I should just do it instead of that, do this. This is a little longer. And then that one is minimum is 59. And then I would do this cursor key. It would be Q1 64.5. And then this would be 66. Some people would actually do it here. They would say this is 59. You can also do that if you don't want to write a number here. This is 64.5 or whatever. And then I cursor to the end of the box, which is 70. So this would be 70. So you can also do 70 here. What's the end of the line? That's the maximum, 77. So there's no dots at the two ends. There's no outliers. So you would say no outliers, like that. Okay, so if I want to I want to do an example where they may be outliers. So what I can do is, show you if I use another set. Okay, I go to Stat, Edit. In L2, I have a 59, 60, like exactly identical as L1. I enter another one in. At the end, maybe at the top also. Okay, at the end up to 77, maybe I want to make this really, really big, so to show the outliers. So maybe I'll say 87. That would be very. So instead of 77, I have 87. So see what happened. So I'm going to do second y equal, which is that plot. Plot 1 is selected. I press enter. It's already on. The type is already modified box plot. So, but my data set is an L2, right? So I'll do L2. Have my cursor back to the on key and then do zoom 9. Wow, do you see that there is a dot showing up? What is this number? So to find out what this number is, you do trace. It would be minimum 59. 64.5 is still Q1. This is median 66. And the maximum the Q3 70. And this is X. Now they don't say maximum because this is really not the maximum. It's just a number that is not a not an outlier that's in the line, and then you cursor one more, they will say the maximum is 87 and it's a dot. So I have an outlier of 87. Does that make sense? So if you see a dot, that would be an outlier. If you don't see a dot, if they go all the way at the end, that means there's no outliers. Okay. So use the modify box plot to check if there's outlier for this particular situation. There's no dots. That means no outliers. But if I change something to be very high or very low, you'll see outliers. Find the outlier if any. So maybe I would say, maybe I will do something. So this is none. Okay. So I would just say not applicable because we don't have any outlier. So maybe I'll do D. So maybe I'll type something here. D. Oh, yeah. Change 77 to 87 and create another modified box plot. There. Outliers. What is the value? So this is what I did, right? So we change it to it. We grab it with step plot on and change it to L2 because L2 is the one that with the 87. And when I do zoom 9, the 87 shows up. So I'm going to grab it so you can see. It's an example that shows one with outlier, one without an outlier. So this would be the one with an outlier. So I would have this is still 60, oh, I forgot, 64.5. And then this is still 60, I forgot. No, I think it's not 64.5. The lowest one is 59, right? Because the lowest number is actually 59. Oh, we can just do cursor, right? So trace first and then do cursor back and forth. 59. Erase this first. 59, 64.5, 66, maybe at the top. I forgot what this is, so it's like just do right. Oh, 70 and 75, right? So 70, and then here is stop here at 75, but this is X. You can see the label is X, and then far here would be 87. If I cursor, they will tell me that it's 87. There is only one outliers. So we can play around with this by, okay, so now I'm going to say one outlier because of the dots. Outlier, of course, is either at the low end and the value equal to 87 after you use trace and cursor left and right to do it. So you can jump back to look at this left and right only. Okay, so then let's play around with, okay, so exit out, second quit, exit out and go back to stat. This is the data. Let's change what happened if this is like 48. Someone is really young in the classroom, and then you measure, you collect the heights. So if I do exit out, if I do stat plot, second stat plot, and then press enter to do plot 1, this is all set up correctly. It's still L2, right? Because it's the new one that has the outliers. I do zoom 9. You see how I would have 1 at the low end, an outlier of 48, right? So if I do trace, it would be showing 60. It doesn't show this one. Okay, it will be showing 60. So what I can do is to find out what is a low outlier would be use the left cursor. It would be min x 48. Okay, then this will be x. It's not a minimum, not a minimum, just a value. And then I will Q1, median, Q3, and then an 87. So my new data set has both a low outliers and a high outlier. The low outlier is was 48 that we entered. So this is how you create modified box plot, and also read off outliers, minimum, Q1, maximum in the box plot. Use trace and then the cursor left and right to read off. Okay, remember to graph it. You do second y equal, which is that plot. Press enter, turn the plot on, and then use the cursor key down and then the cursor left right to choose the type. The type is this one where you have like a box plot but with two dots at the end. For TI-84 is this one that's like blinking. And this is where your data is. So if you are to put your data back into L1, they would have no outlier in our case. You can always change different data lists to graph. Okay, so that's how you use a modified box plot, graph a modified box plot in the TI-84 to find outliers.